Good morning, warriors. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. This is July 11th, 2022, and hope everyone is on their purpose, moving forward. You're going to have a great week and a great day today. Thank you guys for all subscriptions, comments, likes. We're getting close to the 500 all the time. That's one of our first goals, and then we'll kind of keep going from there. But I'm really happy that you guys are getting some good information. I'm getting some nice comments from viewers, and I think it's nice to kind of hear that this is kind of helping. And so I want to kind of comment. I want to kind of focus on some of the comments from Marc, who also is very appreciative, and I'm appreciative of you, Marc. Thank you. And all our new subscribers as well. Thank you guys very much for subscribing. Hope you guys get some information out of this. And I would say this, if you have questions or things that I can actually kind of give you my opinion on, I'm happy to do so. I'm certainly not an expert, but I can kind of give you my experiences. And I guess that's the key thing that I go with after 61 years of living. And probably about, I would say, maybe 47 years, 40-something years of off and on type of trouble with this area, that I felt like it was something to kind of talk about and do some videos on. And as long as you guys continue liking to see it, I'll continue doing them. And I appreciate all the feedback and comments with that. So please continue to do so. All right, so Marc had some great comments on his message back to me, and he was talking about two things that I guess we want to kind of talk about a little bit here. I guess I'll title this one saying, it's great to be single. There's nothing wrong with being single. And I think that we talk about this from many perspectives. I'll even, as I usually do, kind of bring the Bible into this a little bit, because to me it's the best source, practical source there is. And so when you look at the Bible, even the New Testament, they talk about marriage and things like that. And a lot of times, and I think it was I don't know if it was Peter or someone, I can't remember now, for example, but someone was talking about the fact in the Bible that really God understands males. And God knows that males, that we have a high energy level. We have a high sexual energy level, and a lot of times it's very difficult to control. Now, it took me many, many years, as I said before, to actually be able to control it. But it is hard for males to control this. And this is why God, I think, has said, okay, well, if you're having trouble controlling this, then you should get married. Because marriage is one of the ways to be able to do this. And this is the key type of thing. I think that's really where you go into having one partner and being able to say, okay, we go ahead and procreate and have a family. And I think a lot of that is where this kind of stems from, this idea that it is very difficult for men to control themselves when it comes to a lot of these behaviors. And a lot of you guys younger, you know what I'm saying. And the same thing happened to me when I was the same age too. It's gotten a little better as I'm used to my own body more, being able to kind of have more self-discipline. Also, interesting enough, I say that, I go off the point for a second here. I've started drinking a lot more water, and it makes a big difference, even though there are tendencies that you get a little more excited at times. And I'm not sure why that is. I had read at one time it was more I think the blood is thinner, or can move through your system better with a lot of water. And so I'm drinking a gallon of water now. I got one of those gallon jugs, and I love that. So it's easier for me to kind of have my purpose. So I would always recommend that. Also, taking the cold showers, especially if you're in my situation, and being 61. My focus was a few years ago. I had trouble with the testosterone levels and things like that, and I did a lot of different things and read about it and researched a lot. And in my mind, doing the stuff we're talking about now is key to that. But going back to the point we were making about this, I went off track a little bit. But the idea is that God realizes that men struggle with this idea. This has been around for thousands of years, this whole idea. So I think that one of the solutions, obviously, is the fact that you would go ahead and, if you can't control yourself, get married, find one person, and it makes things much easier. Now, is that a surefire way? No. As we see now in the younger generations, a lot of times it doesn't matter, and people still go ahead and they cheat and do all kinds of stuff, and they have high body counts. It doesn't make a difference. But I still think you go back to the tried and true type ideas. There's a reason why that's happening. You see that now that if you have men and women, with lust and burning for lust, they can't control themselves to the point where they have to kind of break all kinds of moral values and things like that to be able to have sex with people and things like that. So I think that that's one of the key things. But as Mark talks about, it's the natural state, I think, in most of the Bible stories is a person is not married. I think, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think it looks like to me that as we talk about this, a lot of males are single, and so there's nothing wrong with being single. I think it's great. I was single for many years, almost 30 years myself, and I think it's great. But you have to realize too, you're going to have temptations, and you've got to kind of discipline yourself. Once again, my friends, and Mark makes a good point on this as well. You have to stay focused on a goal, and I think he was a competitive, competitive athlete. I know he was an athlete. I'm trying to think he was a track person. I have to go back and look at Mark, but I think Mark said he was competitive and he was a good athlete, and he is a good athlete now. And I think that he talked about the fact that it's important to be able to have that discipline, and semen retention does a good job of really highlighting that, making that a better skill, and kind of raising a skill level a bit. And I totally agree. I think when you have retention, you tend to kind of have a lot more positive energy, and you're able to get some of my nose here, but positive energy. Excuse me, guys. When you have positive energy and you're able to kind of bring that up to the level where you can actually succeed doing a lot of different types of things, and I think that the semen retention helps that a great deal. So Mark makes some good points when it comes to this, and I think certainly as competitive athletes it's important to use that and do that. We see it a lot in the old days where boxers and people doing competitive types of sports would not have sex with their wives and people before matches because they wanted to save energy. And so if you think about that logically, that makes a lot of sense. And so why would you just do that normally, right? And that's a key point to him. So Mark makes some good points, and I want to kind of highlight that there's nothing wrong with being single. I mean, if you want to get married, you can. I do see a lot of younger YouTube video things talking about not to get married and the laws and all that. Now, I've been married for 30 years, so I'm probably out of the understanding of younger people and how they look at marriage and everything. I do think, once again, if you look at it from a Bible stance and from what I read in the Bible, at least the way I interpret it, is that God really wants people to be self-controlled and not just kind of lose all their energy. I'm reading Leviticus, and there's a lot of stuff they're talking about, following the commandments, but also being clean and not discharging and all that kind of stuff. We talked about this, I think, in the previous video. And that all goes back to the idea that you should be able to control yourselves. Nowadays, people have trouble controlling themselves. You have people who their body counts are 100 or 1,000 or whatever it might be, and it's almost like you're going into this type of thing. I remember one person talking about the fact that they had a girlfriend, and this woman said this to me too. I had a boyfriend, and all of a sudden they decided to go ahead on town and get a lot of excitement in their lives and things like that, and now they can't go back to the one person. And this is really what happens, and I think this is why God put this into the way we kind of look at things as well. Human nature by itself is going to be habit forming. And so if you're in the habit of sleeping around with everybody, then it's very difficult to go back to a single relationship with somebody, because you're used to having multiple partners. And I personally think that takes, each time you do that, it takes something out of you, and your system. I mean, I think there's consequences for sleeping with people. Even though it may not appear to be that way, I think you're losing a little bit of yourself with each person that you sleep with. So you have to kind of be very aware of that. Now, once again, what you choose to do is obviously up to you. But as I say this, it's important to kind of look at some of the Bible verses and look at Mark's comment and say, okay, it's okay being single. There's nothing wrong with that. But the idea is that you want to be able to focus on, how can I control myself to be the best person I can be? Now, as we said, there's a double-edged sword here, right? As you are being the best person you can be, you're focusing on your goals. You're not spending a lot of time focusing on women. You're not kind of like this person going around looking for women, desperate type person, beta male, who's kind of a creep type of person. You're not that kind of person. You're the opposite, which women find very attractive. And so you're going to have a lot of women approaching you in different ways, flirting, giving you indications that they're interested. And you have to kind of say to yourself, no, I need to focus on my goals. Because instead of giving the attention to someone else, you want to give the attention to becoming the best person you can become. And this goes back into that whole same type of idea that Mark's talking about, and those things talk about, that you are really going to become a stronger person when you're on this type of journey. Now, is it full of just great things and no disadvantages? Well, no. Surely you're gonna have a lot of temptation, as we talked about, and as Mark points out, you're also gonna have people who are either jealous or upset with you, and there's gonna be that competitive nature with other males. When other males see you, and they see someone who is very strong and not weak, and if they're strong themselves, or they want to act strong, then they're going to act tough. And if you're in situations in a bar or other situations, you may find yourself into a conflict that you have to kind of maneuver and work so that you don't get yourself in trouble. And this is a key type of thing. That's why I think that part of the fact that as you are working towards goals and you're trying to better yourself, you're at the point where you're more focused on being that type of person that's going to be successful. And in that regard, you wouldn't be spending a lot of time, in bars and things like that. However, obviously, with having friends and parties and things like that, you're going to find yourself in those situations where you have to go ahead and, be interactive and converse with people. You just have to kind of make sure that you're continuing on your goals. Now, I don't drink alcohol. I used to. But once again, that's one of the things that kind of goes against my whole idea of being fit and doing that. Having a wine once in a while is not what I'm really talking about. Getting drunk all the time is what I'm talking about. So you have to be careful of that in what you're doing. And as I've gotten older, I've tried to take care of my body, the best way I can become, the best way I can. So the whole idea, guys, is going back to this whole thing that Mark suggested. And once again, a shout out to Mark. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate everything. It is great to be single. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think, going back to what we said about the Bible, going back to just being the best person you can become, what is the best option for you and your goals? Obviously, if you want to have a family and kids, like I decided to when I was in my, mid to late 20s, I said, okay, I want to find a young lady and get married and have kids. That's a choice you make as part of your goals. But there's a lot of people that I know that are equally happy, being single and, doing those type of things. Now, again, you're going to have, traps along the way with no matter what you do, especially when it comes to retention. So as we apply this to retention, the key will be making sure that as you're focusing on the long-term goals you have, don't allow the distractions to bother you, whether you're married or not. The key is going to be you want to focus on you becoming the best person you can become, and that to me is the whole key to it. Once again, I read a lot from the Bible because I like to kind of see the practicality and the faith behind it, and obviously discharging things is obviously not the way that you should go. I just have to look at the book of Leviticus and read and how many times they talk about this, that you don't want to be unclean. And because of that, then you have to make sure that you're able to have a lifestyle in which that doesn't happen, almost it doesn't happen at all, or if it happens, it's just an accident and something happens, that you've asked forgiveness and you're able to get back on the track. I mean, life is a journey, my friends, and this is another one of those journey that you're taking, and you have to make sure that you're prepared, and you're going to see throughout your life different things thrown at you. I believe that there is an evil one, and I believe that the evil one does send things to you, spirits to you, and tries to tempt you, and you have to just continue staying on the track and being faithful. Everything is a habit that you're forming. If you have a habit of praying, if you have a habit of meditating, a habit of working out, you build those habits. And I think it takes about 3 weeks to start the habit, and then kind of get that instilled in your mind. And also like visualization, saying things like, I'm so happy and grateful, Lord, that money comes increasing quantities through multiple sources and continued basis. I listen to a guy like Proctor and different people that talk about these type of things. And once again, habit forming in the mind continues. The same thing with the opposite of that. And if you don't watch it, you're going to run into bad habits when it comes to watching images and things like that. And this is where the temptation goes in. So at 766 days of NoFap, and also I restarted monk mode. So we're 5 days in monk mode. We're continuing our journey. Hope you guys are going to have a great day today. Once again, July 11th, 2022. And thank you, Marc. Once again, a shout out for your comment, and hope this helps at least clarify my thoughts on the issue. So God bless you guys, and guys, battle on. Battle on.